Hey, welcome to a new update. This is number 88, so every 8 video we're going to talk about our current challenges. We're in the middle of the season, summer is getting warm. We're still doing fine, last year was much warmer. And you see the energy dropping a little bit because the people that came in at the beginning of the season, energy is going a bit low. But we also have new people coming. We're currently with 20 people. So let's go over our current problems, our challenges. But first, let's go over the old ones. So one of the challenges we had that we didn't really have proper storage place, so everything was sort of dumped in the place. So yeah, now we changed the shipping container into storage, so that's solved. So another challenge we had is finding the balance between life and work, because you kind of wake up in the middle of your work and you go to bed. I think this is going to be an ongoing challenge for many years, but we're trying new things. So Ravi found a house close by where he sleeps. Julie focuses on the things she likes. Adrian found some more ways to get some income. Me and Rita took a few days off. So overall, we're still trying to find our balance. But the nice thing is also to see that the moment that the long-term people take some time or they move out a bit, that camp still functions. So it feels like it's on a good track. And another challenge we had was our solar system, which is still running here. But we were scaling up people, so we figured we also need to scale up our solar system for increase the energy amount for the days that is not sunny. We kind of managed to go to spring, now it's summer, so we have enough capacity, so we don't really need it, so we didn't fix it. But we still have to for when winter comes, so we're still on the to-do. Then we had the problem of fire risk. We did some interventions in the land, update 84, you could see us chopping this whole area, slowly starting to grow back again. The risk is still there. Hasn't been very much fires yet, but it feels like it's about to start because it's getting hotter and drier. So the main thing we do besides working on the landscape is also just continue to watch out. Cannot use power tools in the afternoon, watch out with the oven nights, smoking area, these kind of things. And finally, we had a challenge with our toilet because more people means you just need more people going to the toilet, but it also means you generate more poop. And we didn't really have a good capacity to process all of that. So we made some big steps that, upgraded a few things, but you can see more about that in the next video. If you already want to see it right now, make sure to support on Patreon. So those are all the previous challenges. Now we're going to go to some new ones because we always have new ones. First we're going to have a look at Rita. She's going to have some challenges about living in camp.
So we are now mid of the season, and one of the challenges that we face is people leaving. This year we integrated a different format, which was to try to bring the people as long as possible. And now it's the first time that a big batch of people has left, and that's very sad. And it's sad not only because the systems were already running super smooth, but also obviously relationships get created and people get attached to each other. That's sad. But there is another side to it, which is other people are now coming. And even other people are returning from last year. So it could be that these people that left will return at some point. Some of the people that are returning this year is a couple, Wouter and Debbie. And they were here last season and they realized just shortly before they arrived that they were pregnant. So this year they bring a baby, which means somewhat of a triple challenge. A challenge for the parents, as they are already kind of tired for being parents, and life in the camp is not less exhausting. A challenge for the baby, because there is a lot of adults and stimulus and still a rough life. And a challenge for the camp is just we function under systems and we don't have a baby system yet, so we need to integrate. And also for most of us as adults, we are not yet super familiar to have how to integrate a baby amongst us. One more challenge is connected to this area. This is the smoking area. People come to the camp in search for a sustainable way of life or a healthy lifestyle, but we hear here and there that some people are increasing their consumption of tobacco and alcohol. The challenge is not that people consume, but the challenge is that we don't know why this happens, why people increase their consumption habits. Maybe it's because it's heavy work and then there is a heavier need to relax. Maybe it's just because it's really a social space and one thing invites the other. We don't know, and that's a challenge we would like to look into.
Hello, Rita.
Hello, Javi. You come here to smoke a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Break.
we're in here.
It's my break time. You know, if they take a break, it just comes with cigarette.
Claro, claro. Love it.
We're gonna lose a lot of sponsors with this.
All right, so next we're going to check in with Julie, and she's going to talk a little bit about some challenges we have with new people coming in, and also trying to work with the natural cycles, which we're not very good at yet.
So within General Help, we take on a lot of landscaping work, which is very based on the natural cycle. But then we also have the project camp season, which is starting from April till November. And then having spring, summer, autumn and winter in there is quite complex. For instance, in summer, a lot of people can come to the land due to their summer holidays, which is awesome, and potentially we can take on bigger pieces of land, we thought. But then there are the summer restrictions, like the heat, which makes us not able to work during the day. We need to wake up earlier in the morning, and during the day we need to take a break to rest. Another one is the power tools. We can only use them early in the morning until 11 if it's not a fire risk day. And then after that we need to work with manual tools, which is way more exhausting than an electric one. And the third one is that in spring we could chop. Now we have chopped patches. But we cannot plant new trees due to the hot summer, so we will need to wait until autumn. This means that the soil stays empty for a while, the whole summer actually. And then, back in autumn, we will be less people again to plant the trees. So the project camp season became like this because it's quite hard to stay here in winter with many people. There is a lot of rain, it's cold, it's different. But then we have this misalignment with the natural cycle. So for this season it stays like what it is, but for next season I would say could be improved. If you have any suggestions, let us know. Another one is being here on the land with a background of design. How to chop mimosas, we don't really know. So this makes us go for a lot of approaches of taking like try and error. But because the natural cycles are going very slow and long, we don't really know if we are doing it right. This is why we put up the application as General Help. A lot of people replied this year. Super awesome, thank you for that. But within these people, there is or the profile of people with hands-on and motivation to work hard, or the profile of people with a lot of knowledge. Finding that person in between with the knowledge and the hands-on experience isn't really there yet. It's hard to find. Another complicated one is management of people. And at the moment we have a big new group of people coming and arriving, which means giving them all the information and basic infrastructure. How we film, how we work together in teams, how we use the tools even, or how we document all the things we are doing on the land. This comes with a lot of information for the person to take in and for us to hand over. And being in the middle of the season, it's kind of tiring already. So last year we had kind of a similar challenge with a lot of people bit by bit arriving. And this year we tried in the beginning of the year to have everyone arriving at the same day. This created this starting atmosphere all together, everyone was on the same page. Now in the middle of the season, this happened a bit again like last year. People starting to arrive bit by bit, which didn't bring them all together. This in the end brings a lot of disalignment and makes it more difficult to work smoothly. So I guess the solution could be to have again people arriving all at the same day and creating that starting energy together as a team. But this is really complex because people come from all over the world, have their own backgrounds, their own lives. Having that all coming together on one day is a complex puzzle.
So yeah, let's see how that is going to evolve in the coming weeks. And next we're going to have Adrian with some workspace challenges, for instance finding the right suppliers for our materials.
For the Workspace project, we try to find suppliers with sustainable materials. Also, we try to keep it local, so then our economical impact stays in the region and helps its development. But the challenge usually is to find the materials and deliver them in time to create our project here. What does this mean? This means that someone arrives in the camp, we start with the design process of the project, then we order the materials, and when the materials arrive, the people building the project need to rush a lot to finish up before they leave. We could change suppliers and buy from big hardware stores, but We prefer to keep it local and buy from small businesses, because from the big ones we don't know where the materials are coming from, we don't know where the money goes after. We could stock more materials in-house, especially now that we have a new material bank, but it's still too small for mid to big size projects. It's enough for small ones, but we cannot stock for big projects here. We could plan ahead more the projects to have the materials in time and location, but this would require to exclude the people that come to help in this process of designing and finding the right materials. And we like to include the people that come to help in the whole process of the building. So for now we are a bit rushing, we are a bit planning, we are a bit mixing all of them, but ideally in the future we create a system that can accomplish all the challenges that we have. The first part of the season was going okay, but now we have new tasks, new people, and energy is going down. And we are realizing that the systems that we set up for the Workspace, they are not working exactly how we thought it would work. So we are facing some challenges here, like the control of the stock of the consumables we have, keep the tools in the right shape and maintained, and also things just break and need to be repaired. So one possible solution would be to allocate one person just to the maintenance and to keep all this managing of the Workspace systems in shape. This person would need to keep an eye on when to restock things, when things are broken, repair them. More or less just be checking constantly everything that is around here. We feel already we are a bit tight in the amount of people in the team, so having a person like that is not realistic nowadays. So far we are doing it ourselves, but we are realizing that we are piling up things and it's not really the way we want to go and the way if we want to scale and grow. For the next season probably we need to rethink this system, because nowadays it's getting a bit tight with the amount of projects.
So apart from the Workspace, Adrian is also taking care of some administrative tasks, which also bring some challenges.
Our project has also some administration parts. Let's say like we buy things, we need to keep our accounts clean, we need to have some paperwork done. So there are certain things that we need to take care. Last year was kind of a lightweight task. Like for example in June 2022 we had 30 invoices we paid, but in June 2023 we are already in 64 I think, which means that we are growing, which is good because we are growing in people, we are growing in projects, but we are also growing in this administration work. So far all this little task administration comes back to me for different reasons, but I'm also in the Workspace doing other things. So at the end I end up piling up tasks, piling up, and becomes a bit too heavy. An option would be to have a dedicated person for all the administrative work, but in our setting it's not the most fun work to do. We are in the countryside, good weather, everyone around. You don't want to just be in an office taking care of all the accountancy and the invoices. So far we are not expecting someone to take on something like this. Another option would also be to decentralize these systems in order that many people can take care of many tasks. We think that that could be the best solution, but also comes with some challenges. For instance, we try with Javi. Okay, Javi, please. He's gonna buy his camera. So he tries to buy the camera in Germany. At the end, the camera comes from China. He needs to find out the invoice from the guy, upload it to our system. The VAT was wrong, need to talk with me again, then need another communication with the shop, comes back again, and at the end it's a very clunky process. So we are trying to make it more efficient, make it more smooth, these processes, but we are still on the way.
Alright, so that was it for our current challenges, and next we're going to answer some of your questions that you posted in the previous video in the comments. We couldn't answer them all because there were many, but it's a good bunch, so let's have a look.
What's everyone's favorite spot on the land? Also, is there any interesting wildlife that you have seen there? So my favorite spot is definitely up on the big rock on Zone 3. There is a nice wooden chair that someone has placed there so graciously, and it's just a very nice and relaxing spot. But as for wildlife, I can't say that I've seen much beside bugs and lizards.
Still the lagoon and the yoga deck, up the rocks. And the only wildlife I see is mostly my wild dog, because he follows me around, so all the wildlife disappears.
I don't know if I have a favorite spot.
My favorite spot is the lagoon, specifically a nice rock there close to the water, and I've seen recently a type of dragonfly that's called the devil's little horse with the black wings.
It's up at the rocks, because it's a really beautiful view there. I saw all yesterday. Yeah, that was nice.
Are you happy with your internet supplier?
So far it's working okay. There's not a lot of signal in this area.
How is your toilet doing?
The toilet, look. No, joking, you have to wait 1 more week.
Are there any gamers among you guys?
I'd consider myself a gamer. I played quite a lot in my life and still do from time to time.
New video audio guy, right?
Hey, yes, I'm here.
What is the net spend?
In Season 3, around 50,000.
How much do you have to pay for the Midland, and when will you finally buy it?
So we are still in the process, but for sure once we have everything collected, you will know in one of our updates.
Current nationality count.
I'm from Holland.
I'm from Germany.
Spanish and Dutch.
I'm half English, half Dutch.
I am Israeli and Romanian.
Dutch.
Oh, I'm from Hong Kong.
Galicia?
Catalonia, but some people would say Spain.
I'm half German and half Turkish.
I'm Argentinian.
Portuguese.
I'm Spanish.
Hungarian.
Portugal.
Netherlands.
The Netherlands.
Netherlands.
France.
Iceland.
What happens when a new camper arrives? How does the introduction to the workings of the camp work?
So we give an email up front with what to bring and how the things work here. Then when they arrive, we give a manual, we give a tour on base camp, a tour on the land. We walk one time to town if we have the time. And there are still millions of questions, even though they got all this information.
No, I'm still here.
What is your vision in 10-20 years?
I think we're developing the vision as we go. For the short term, the coming 5 years, the plan is really to make sure we create a good solid base camp that we can sustain so we can continue to be here in the long term and figure out what this is really going to be about.
Do you plan to build hotels?
Yes, we are actually building one right now, a 5-star bug hotel. But you will find out more about that in the following episodes.
What do you do with all the trees and bushes you have cut recently?
We're trying to find different approaches. Sometimes we take the wood chipper, sometimes we bring them to the sawmill, sometimes we give it to neighbors. Still new options to be found.
Jaime, what are you listening normally?
But to be fair, it's not the only thing I listen. I feel like I'm gonna disappoint some people here. But while I'm working, this is what I listen to. But I also listen to reggae, rock, ska, rap. Normally that's what I listen to, but while I'm working and going out, this is my music.
It's very hot right now in many places. How are you staying cool in the summer?
I go to the lagoon.
Going to the lagoon.
Take dips in the lagoon.
Staying hydrated.
It might sound weird, but I actually like to have on long sleeves and I stick to shade anywhere I can find it. I drink a lot of water and I try to go to the lagoon to refresh a little bit.
White clothes. Try to be in the shade.
I go to the lagoon and dress lightly.
Water and shade.
Sometimes it's nice to make your t-shirt wet, put a hat on, stay in the shade, drink enough water, don't work.
Are there any plans for little lakes on your land?
Yeah, we still have on our list for this year, this season, to renovate one lake. But eventually we would do all of them.
What do you miss the most from normal civilization on camp?
Chocolate.
I miss my clean feet. I miss having clean feet.
Mostly my friends and my family.
Cheese.
Flushing toilet, definitely. Cappuccinos. I miss cappuccinos.
To be a bit more clean.
Public transport would be the one I miss because it's not easy to get around here.
Ice cream.
Video games.
A proper cinema maybe.
think just the supermarket to buy some chips sometimes.
Meat.
Do you all have any ideas about expanding Project Kamp to other locations in a similar fashion to Precious Plastic?
Not yet, but all what we do is open source, so feel free to copy everything we do and set up your own Project Kamp.
How is the wood treatment experiment going forward?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's all turned black. And you can also see that you shouldn't use multiplex outside, because it always goes bad. Depends on what kind you use, of course. But the engine oil is the most sturdy one, I would say. And maybe also the old candle wax. It also seems to work really well. Yeah, I would still go for the red cedar if it's for durability. And if it's for cool looks, then I would go for eucalyptus, because it turns really black. Yeah, useful. Just need some more time to see real big differences. But for now, it's already interesting to see that every treatment works better than not treating it.
Have you got any plans to use more products made by Precious Plastic?
Sure, whenever we can use a pressed plastic product and we find that it's a cool use for recycled plastic, we go for it.
Now that you're a few years in, is there anything you will do differently if you had to start all over again?
Not sure. Maybe spend more time looking into the land, because some lands are definitely more work than others. But besides that, no, all good, I guess.
I'm curious about the weekly community meetings on the yoga deck. Can you tell a bit more on this setup?
Human Hour is a place that intends to create community, so intends to bring us more closer together by creating a space where we can manage potential conflicts, where we can see each other more truthful and transparently.
Have you ever thought about building a sauna? I think that would be really cool.
I think it would be really cool as well. I would love it.
How do you make money to finance all this?
From donations, Patreon, and you guys in YouTube are a big help.
You tested 2 ways to get rid of the mimosas. How is it going so far?
As you might see, we are back in mimosa leaves after a couple of weeks, unfortunately. But the debarking area looks good. It's only still too early to say anything, what is better or what is preferred.
What are your top 2 or 3 best tool per case you have made?
Many of the tools we already had. We bought a lot of garden tools here, stuff like brush cutter, chainsaws, kind of need to have them, so I guess they would be in the top. We like all the other tools as well, like the fast tool and the sanding machines, but not a real strong preference. I think in the end it's just a tool. I have to say the GoPro cameras I like a lot. They really last long, of all the things. Yeah.
What does it take to be so awesome?
Nothing.
Which one of the trailers would you have wanted if it wasn't for patrons?
No, we liked all options. This was just a bit more work, but it's fun.
Thank you, Patreon, for choosing for us.
Bro, you paid for that pile of rust?
Yeah, bro, we paid.
Why do we love you so much?
Thank you, I don't know, because you like our work and you believe in the same mission.
Do you ever run out of electricity, or do you have enough capacity that you never do or never need to ration it?
We actually ran out of electricity a couple of times. We try to economize our consumption when we see that moment coming. But yes, we did. Yeah, not nice.
Any new plans regarding gardening, growing veggies and stuff?
We are still not growing our own food, but we are starting to do some small experiments, like growing a bit of tomatoes here with basil and some other guests that came with the compost.
What is the situation with forest fires at the moment?
At the moment there are already quite some small fires in the area. Here close by it's still calm.
What are your favorite things to do when not working at the camp?
I like to make little wooden toys, as well as to work on my writing and my drawing.
I want to say something cool, but my favorite thing is laying in this hammock and reading a book.
Lying next to Doris in the other hammock, also reading.
And the sweeping. The sweeping is also really important.
Personal projects, do nothing.
Popping to the lagoon.
Walk in nature.
I quite like to grab a bike and cycle around.
Going to the lagoon or going to the beach. I love the sea.
Drinking and reading a book.
Do you think you will eventually make merch?
We actually have already, we make some batches and you can get them if you support us in Patreon.
What would you name the goat if Project Kamp got one?
Bobby.
Bleh. Bobby.
Fucking fast! Goat?
First.
Bush cutter?
Olavur.
Filipa or Emily? I would go with Emily.
Andrea Pirlo. Goat number 1.
Mimosa Nator.
Leonardo.
Will there perhaps be an open day for lucky subscribers to spend a few days and help out on the property?
At the moment we still don't have the capacity to organize open days, but in the future it seems clearly a need to make open days for lucky subscribers or just people that want to visit.
Alright, so that was our current challenges video, and next week we're gonna have a look at the toilet system, and we have some big upgrades there. If you already want to see the video, Patreon. If not, we'll see it next week. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next update.